of course, members getting ready to pick up on the debate on the finance bill. This is a bill that is originating from the National Assembly, Bill number 30th of 2024, whose debate is set to continue this morning. Remember, this is with regards to the finance bill. The finance bill is a bill that its contents, or once enacted, then it will be an act that outlines the measures in which the government will be using to generate revenue for financing the budget for the financial year 2024-2025. So this is a bill that is accompanied by a report of the Finance and National Planning, Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning, that tabled its report on the floor of the House on the 18th of June, the year 2024, with the debate on the two documents. Remember, the report came after the public participation, which is a procedure that needs to be followed with regards to the bill. After first reading, then it has to go for public participation. Then the report be tabled in Parliament, and then debate will start. So with them, members have two documents. That is the Finance Bill 2024, as well as the report of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning that was tabled on the House, and members have been using that particular report and also the bill to debate or consider the contents of the bill, as well as the amendments that have been brought forth by the committee following the public participation. We will get back to that, but in the order of business, the members this morning will be considering a procedural motion that will be moved by the leader of the majority party, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, and this is a motion that seeks to have the House resolve to hold a Tuesday morning sitting that will commence at 9:30 in the morning. Of course, this is for purposes of considering priority business. So this is a procedural motion that the members will be looking at. And of course, the majority leader, or the leader of the majority party, will be expounding on this particular procedural motion. But this is a resolution that on Tuesday, the 25th of June, 2024, at 9:30 a.m., the House convened for a sitting to consider priority business. After that procedural motion, then the members will get right into the debate on the finance bill. Remember, this is a resumption of a debate that was interrupted on the Wednesday of June 19th, 2024 in the afternoon sitting. Debate began yesterday, that is the Wednesday of 19th June 2024 in the morning, with members allocated an approximate time of 5 minutes each to give their opinions, basing their argument or debate on the two documents. As I told you earlier, that is the Finance Bill 2024, as well as the report of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning. Talking about the report, is that you will recall that the report contains a number of amendments that are following the public participation. Stakeholders gave out with regards to the contents of the bill. In the report also, there are new clauses. For instance, there is the new clause, clause 66, on the road maintenance levy, in which the committee recommends an increase of the levy from Kenya shillings 18 to 25 per litre on all petroleum fuels. In its report, the committee argues that the current levy amounts to 18%, 18 shillings per litre of all petroleum fuels, with an anti-adulteration levy of the same amount charged on kerosene. The levy is deposited into the Road Maintenance Levy Fund for annual repair and maintenance of roads, of course, under the administration by the Kenya Roads Board. But in the report, it further notes that the performance of the levy in 2023-2024 has been negatively affected by the demand effects of the high fuel prices and the exchange rate depreciation. The fall in the collections under the road maintenance levy has continued to affect the repair and maintenance of highways, urban and rural roads. And it is on this background that the committee recommends an increase of the levy pursuant to Section 3 of the Road Maintenance Levy Fund Act from 18 to 25 per litre. This is a new clause in the bill which has been noted down on the report by the committee, which is currently in the hands of the legislators, who in their debate also focus on that as part of that which, if passed, will be part of the bill. There have been contentious clauses which the committee indicated have been revised and others have been dropped. One of them is clause 45 and 48. This one is on the eco levy. In the report, the committee notes that the purpose of the eco levy is to help redress environmental damage and pollution caused by the import of certain finished products into Kenya. In this regard, the committee observed that the levy should only be applied to imported finished products to protect local manufacturers who are currently subjected to extended producer responsibility. The committee observed that in line with the international best practices of the polluter pays principle, it is critical to ensure that the manufacturer of offending items contributes to financing the safe disposal of the products. With regards to this, the committee proposes to remove the imposition of the levy on diapers, motorcycle tires, bicycles, wheelchairs, and three-wheeled motorized vehicles, commonly referred to as tuk-tuks, and reduce the rate of eco-levy for certain finished goods. Remember, this has been one of the contentious clauses or issues that has been contained in the finance bill. And even the legislators in their debate, most of them, or a bigger number of them, were using or rather sought clarification or even hailed the move by the committee with regards to the amendments to the eco levy. That is the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Dr. Moses Wetangula. The mess is ahead of him. He is the one who will be presiding over this morning's sitting. Allow me to hand you over to this live broadcast brought to you by PBU in partnership with KBC. My name is Kamche Menza. Good morning.
Waheshimiwa, tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu ambaye kwa hekima na wema wako umetoa nyadhifa za viongozi na mabunge kwa ustawi wa jamii na utawala wa haki wa wanadamu, tukusihi utazame kwa neema nyingi sisi watumishi wako ambao wameridhika kutuita ili tutekeleze shughuli muhimu za jamhuri yetu. Tukuomba tuteremshie baraka zako sisi tuliokutanika hapa, na utujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili utukufu na sifa zako ziendelezwe, na ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu, na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Honorable members, we have quorum. Order. We have quorum to transact business. I want to thank the House for your resilience yesterday. Many members stayed in the House from morning till late. Those of you who wanted to speak yesterday but didn't get the opportunity, I believe you'll get that opportunity this morning to make your views known on the bill. And I also want to recognize the level of decorum that has been exhibited in this debate and encourage that we remain so. Honorable members, also House Business directed and recommended that we will have a Tuesday morning sitting. So at some point this morning, the majority leader and minority leader will move a motion to get your approval for that sitting. After that motion, we'll go straight to the bill. We remain true to the 5 minutes. Most of the issues have been canvassed. So if you have 1 or 2 points and you have an opportunity, you don't have to exhaust your 5 minutes so that many more members can be able to speak to the bill. Call out the orders. Yes, Honorable Wandai.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for your guidance. And Honorable Speaker, I think so far so good, but we are facing some challenges, and perhaps I want to seek your guidance on this, or directives. Honorable Speaker, as you can see, the House is not full, and a number of members are finding it difficult to access the House. Personally, a number of members, as we speak, are finding it difficult to go through the police blockades to access the House. I've personally had to struggle to get to this House this morning. Honorable Speaker,
what is the problem?
The problem is that the entire Parliament precincts is cordoned off by people who appear to be police officers, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we are living in a democratic country, and this House is a symbol of our democracy. No person in this country has got the authority to establish a blockade around Parliament, to cordon off Parliament. There is no state of emergency which has been declared, as far as I'm aware, under the Constitution. Under the Constitution. I am aware that on Tuesday or Wednesday, or yesterday, Tuesday I think, there were some demonstrations around Parliament and in the CBD. Very, very peaceful demonstrations by very, very young children who were unarmed throughout the demonstrations. In fact, the police who provoked them and eventually arrested very many of them who were innocent, took them to police stations, they spent the night there, and they were released unconditionally on free bond, Honorable Speaker. So what is it that is occasioning this overzealous approach by the police? Can the speakers direct the Inspector General of Police to withdraw the police officers who have made this Parliament to be like a military installation, Honorable Speaker? It is an affront to our democracy for this Parliament to be turned into a military installation, Honorable Speaker. Why is it that we are making this business of finance bill become a so serious a matter that the whole country comes to a standstill, Honorable Speaker? It's an issue that we must be addressed before today's business can proceed. I want to call upon my colleague members that we ensure that that cordon, that blockade is removed before we can proceed the business.
Thank you.
We cannot be making steps forward and then regressing as a country, as a democracy.
Thank you, Minority Leader. Yes, Osoro.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we must appreciate our Constitution 2010, Honorable Speaker, and the independent officers that are provided therein. Honorable Speaker, the unit of the police, the National Police Service, is an independent institution. They do not take instructions from Parliament, don't take instructions from His Excellency the President, and they work independently to exercise their duty, Honorable Speaker.
Can you repeat that? I was consulting with a member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, what I'm saying is we need to appreciate our democracies. The legislature is an independent institution. The National Police Service is an independent unit that does not take instructions from anybody. While we appreciate the right for every Kenyan to picket under Article 37 as provided by the law, Honorable Speaker, the police are there to provide security for even those who are picketing, Honorable Speaker. As we were moving around, Honorable Speaker, coming towards this house, Honorable Speaker, this morning, we have not seen, any barricaded roads across. What we see is our police officers basking in the sun and relaxing and waiting for those who want to picket to also provide them with security. They actually deserve security, Honorable Speaker. We have not seen anybody picketing. We've only seen police officers covering our areas and providing security for these honorable members and everybody around the streets of Nairobi, Honorable Speaker. And they've even said, the minority leader, Honorable Speaker, has even said right now that even those who are purportedly arrested were released on free, without being charged. That ideally shows, because that is an independent institution, that shows, Honorable Speaker, that the police are simply doing their job. And we really can't stop discharging our duties, Honorable Speaker, here to start bashing on the police who are actually doing their job. But again, Gen Z are free to picket. They are free to move around. They are allowed to come even up outside the gate of Parliament. And they are allowed to carry placards. Nobody is going to harass them, but allow also the police to provide the Gen Z with security, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order, honorable members. I hear you, Minority Leader. I hear you, Majority Whip. I came to Parliament very early, at 6, so probably the police had not taken their positions. This House will operate without any fear or favor, intimidation, or any negative pressure. I want to encourage you to be all times assured that you are safe here. I'll direct the clerk and the sergeant to check with the police and report to me in the course of the morning what is happening so that I can also be able to react on the basis of fact. Thank you. Can we now go to our orders?
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Phyllis Bartow.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I, the undersigned, on behalf of the residents of Moiben constituency, draw the attention of the following, of the House to the following. 1, that Agricultural Settlement Fund Trustees was established in 1963 under the Agriculture Act, Cap 318 of the Laws of Kenya, Section 168, which was repealed by the Agriculture, Fisheries and Food Authority Act 2013. That the fund is managed by the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning. Its mandate is vested in the Settlement Fund Trustees jointly by the Ministry of Lands, National Treasury, Interior and Agriculture. That the Elgeyo Border Scheme Settlement Scheme is among the schemes established under the fund in 1963 for agricultural development and purchase of land with an initial capital of 5,000 aimed at facilitating settlement and development in the region. That over the years, due to various socio-economic factors and changes in the land ownership, the burden of arrears of loan payment has become unmanageable for the current generation of residents. That many families inherited the debt without the corresponding assets or resources to repay it. Further, the original purpose of the Settlement Trust Fund has been overshadowed by the financial strain it imposes on the community. That the debt incurred by the Elgeyo Border Scheme has grown exponentially over time, surpassing the initial capital of Kenya shillings 5,000, hence becoming a significant barrier to the economic progress and the well-being of the community by hindering their ability to invest in essential infrastructure, education, healthcare, among others. That the residents have over the years received demand notices regarding the arrears of the loan payment with possibilities of repossession of the land if the outstanding amounts are not paid. And that the issues in respect of which this petition is raised are not pending before any court of law or any constitutional or legal body. Therefore, your humble petitioners pray that the National Assembly, through the Public Participation Committee, 1, engages the Settlement Funds trustee with a view of seeking waiver of the accumulated debt of Elgeyo Border Settlement Scheme by the community. And 2, makes any recommendation or action it deems fit in addressing the plight of the petitioners. And your petitioners will ever pray. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Professor. Yes, Bukose.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to support the petition by Honorable Parto about the settlement farms trustees. And this is not just limited to Honorable Parto, but I would want the committee, when they'll be looking into this issue, that we can have an amnesty for all SFT farms that are within the country, because these were meant to benefit the poorer people after the colonialists left. Unfortunately, when the colonialists left, many of these farms reverted back to the well-connected who were in government at that time. And they grabbed huge chunks of lands, squeezing the poor ones into sharing either 2.5 acres or 5 acres, and then imposing to them to pay 5,000, which was a lot of money at that time. And cumulatively, it has been accruing debts. So as we forgive all other debts, debts for the sugarcane farmers, debt for the coffee farmers, I think we should also look at debts which are owed to SFTs, debts which are owed to AFCs that people used to purchase lands, so that we can make sure that these people are well settled, they are not, and they are given title deeds so that they can be able to have something either for themselves or for their children to inherit. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I want to support, and I would ask that when the committee is sitting, please invite some of us who represent areas that have SFT farms, that our people are still suffering with those pending debts. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The petition is committed to the Public Petitions Committee to report back within 60 days. Next.
Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, before I lay this paper, if you allow me, I want to sincerely thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the way you conducted this session of yesterday. Yes, yes. I want to commend you, Honorable Speaker. If I get your full attention, I'll be very happy. I want to commend you for conducting the debate yesterday and actually sitting throughout. I watched you rise at 9. I think we need, if it was any other place, I would have requested we give the Speaker a standing ovation. But because this is Parliament, let's give him a stamp on our foot to appreciate him for the good job. And the way you conducted, there was danger that it would spiral into something else. But Honorable Speaker, you managed this House very, very well. And members also for the decorum and respect that we have for each other and for the Speaker. I want to thank you sincerely, Honorable Speaker, and Congole for that. Honorable Speaker, now I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Thursday, June 20th, 2024, in the morning sitting. Annual report and financial statements for the financial year 2022-2023 from the Commission on Revenue Allocation, and 2, Kenya National Shipping Line audited financial statements from the Ministry of Mining, Blue Economy, and Maritime Affairs. I beg to lay, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Majority Leader. Next. And thank you for the compliment.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
There are 2 requests for statements. One from Monica Marubu, Women Rep Lamu. Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order number 44, 2C, I rise to request a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding the status of compensation for fishermen in Lamu County. Honorable Speaker, for over a decade, fishermen have been engaged in legal battles and rigorous vetting processes to receive compensation after being displaced by the Lamu Port 3-berth project, also known as the Rapset project. The project area was primarily a popular fishing ground for the local fishermen who are able to use their rudimentary fishing equipment. However, due to the effects of dredging, destruction of coral reefs and mangrove forests, which led to murky waters, the fish population and locations were affected, thereby displacing the fishermen from the area. Moreover, the High Court of Kenya held the project disrupted the cultural and economic activities of the local fisher community, and they were to be rightly compensated. Honorable Speaker, while we appreciate the efforts made by the government by initiating the compensation process, it is regrettable that there are significant concerns regarding the criteria used to verify the fishermen to be compensated. Further, in addition to the fair compensation, the government was to implement a comprehensive fishing value chain approach to ensure the sustainability of the local fisher community. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee of Transport and Infrastructure on the following. Number 1, can the Chairperson provide details of the fishermen set to receive compensation, including their areas of residence and fishing grounds, and state the criteria used for the verification process? Number 2, can the Chairperson state the measures in place to ensure that only fishermen from the affected fishing grounds and local fisher community receive compensation, and provide timelines for completion of the compensation process? Number 3, and finally, can the Chairperson explain why the government is yet to implement a fishing value chain approach to boost the fishing industry of the area, considering that compensation provided for the fishermen does not provide a long-term solution, hence jeopardizing the sustainable source of livelihood of the fisher community in Lamu County? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Chairman, Transport and Infrastructure. Any member of that committee? Transport and Infrastructure, Majority Leader. direct them to bring a response in 2 weeks. Ben Chonga. Give him the mic. There you are.
Thank you, Speaker. It's Ken Chonga, not Ben Chonga.
Ken.
Ken, yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Ken Chonga.
Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Lands regarding irregular allocation of a parcel of land in Gongoni Village, Junju Ward in Kilifi South Constituency. Honorable Speaker, indigenous people of Gongoni were displaced from their ancestral land by the colonial government purportedly for public use. After attainment of independence, the displaced residents never resettled on the land. Instead, in the early 1960s, the parcel of land LR number 140/4/Mainland North was leased to Vipingo Sisal Development Company for commercial activities on the land. The parcel of land LR number 140/4/Mainland North was leased to the Vipingo Sisal and Leasing Company. Despite the allocation of the said property, the company never conducted any commercial activities on the land for the entire lease period until its expiry in 2016. Notably, Mr. Speaker, when residents conducted an official search to authenticate the status of the land in November 2023, the results revealed that the land was issued to one, Mr. Said Swale Musa and Mr. Shifea Swale Musa, and a new certificate of lease number CR 82241. It is astonishing that the said persons are neither residents of Gongoni village nor trustees of the Gongoni community. The irregular allocation of the said parcel of land has caused anguish to the residents, noting that by law, any land that is under leasehold reverts back to the government upon expiry of such lease. Honorable Speaker, it is against this backdrop that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Lands on the following. 1. Under what circumstances was LR number 140/4/Mainland North registered in the name of Mr. Saidi Swale Musa and Shifaye Swale Musa despite being community land? 2. What is the status of investigation into the irregular allocation of the said parcel of land? 3. What measures will the Minister of Lands put in place to revoke the allocation of the said land if found in contravention of the law and revert the same to Gongoni community? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chairman Lands, Nyamoko. Give him the mic. Yes, member for Changamwe. Give Nyamoko, take your seat.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to express an interest in this matter. The said land belongs to our family. We have a title deed, genuine one, and the honorable member is aware that we own that piece of land. The so-called Shifea side are actually my cousins. So I wish to state very categorical here that this land belongs to us and we have a title deed, which is a genuine title deed. And the honorable member is aware. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker.
Moko.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we'll give a response in 2 weeks' time. 14 days.
Next order. Yes, Bowen.
Mr. Speaker, I thought the owner of the land has already responded. I don't know if there is need for the committee again to go look into who is the owner of the land when the owner is already here and he has said that the land belongs to him. Is there a need for the committee again to go and look who is the owner?
That notwithstanding, the statement is directed at the chairman of lands. He has to come and respond. Next order.
Order number 8, procedural motion, resolution to hold a Tuesday morning sitting.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 33C, this House resolves to hold a morning sitting on Tuesday, 25th June 2024, commencing at 9:30 a.m. for purposes of considering priority business. Honorable Speaker, members will realize we have very crucial business ahead of us today, top among them being the continuation of the finance bill. And Honorable Speaker, I must thank the Gen Zs also, because, Honorable Speaker, for the first time in the history of this House, especially this 13th Parliament, at 8:30 a.m., not less than 50 members were already logged in. So, if not for anything else, the Gen Zs have made members of Parliament to report to work very early. And it's a good thing. It's the beauty of our democracy, Honorable Speaker. And now that we reported this early, Honorable Speaker, to contribute to the finance bill, I am certain if you look at the numbers, we may not have enough time to finish with the finance bill today and move on to the IEBC amendments from the Senate. And members will understand how crucial that business is. So we want to make sure that we have adequate time to complete the finance bill, the committee of the whole, without anticipating debate next week, and also be able to complete with the IEBC amendments from the Senate in time before we progress to the short recess that is due the following week. And Honorable Speaker, you are aware, next week is the last week of this month, and we ought to have passed both the finance bill and the appropriations bill that are also lined up next week, which I will be speaking to later this afternoon during the usual Thursday statement. I therefore wish to appeal to members to support so that we have adequate time to process all this business. And I wish to request, I beg to move and request the Leader of Minority to second.
Yeah, the Honorable Speaker, I wish to second, and for the simple reason that I consider the matter of the IBC so crucial that we cannot afford to delay it any further. And therefore, let's proceed in the manner proposed by the Leader of Majority. I second.
Order, honorable members on their feet, take your seats. Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 33C, this House resolves to hold a morning sitting on Tuesday, 25th June 2024, commencing at 9:30 a.m. for purposes of considering priority business. Put the question. Yes. Member for Sem.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I rise to support, there's a related matter that I would like to raise, but basically, again, to seek a clarification from you, Mr. Speaker. You had indicated earlier, and I know that we are likely to go to the Committee of the Whole House on the finance bill. And that's one of the reasons we are really sitting on that day, on Tuesday. But also, you indicated last evening that those who want to make amendments should have their amendments in by 1 p.m. today. Mr. Speaker, the clarification I was seeking, normally we have more time. Why are we limiting today if the Committee of the Whole House is likely to be on Tuesday, as you had indicated? Because one would have thought that even up to tomorrow, midday, would still be adequate. That's the clarification I needed. But otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I support the Tuesday sitting.
Before I put the question, Honorable Nyikal, I have made a pronouncement about 4 times on this floor that those who have amendments file them by 1 o'clock today. For the simple reason that 1, the bill has attracted a lot of contentious arguments and proposals. 2, the committee itself in its report has recommended a myriad of amendments to the bill. 3, we want to have sufficient time for amendments that may be identical or overlapping to be harmonized. And we can't do that if we are constrained with time. 4, if you are speaking for yourself, you are the sort of member of parliament who I know would draft an amendment before the bill is even moved. So I don't know why you want extra time. My direction that all amendments be filed by 1 o'clock stands. I don't think it's injurious to any member. I don't think it oppresses any member. And since the time I started making the pronouncement, no member has raised any reservation, Dr. Nyikal. And I believe your reservation is not only unhelpful, but will just draw us back to management of House business that will not be helpful. Yes, yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wanted to add to your 4 points.
Yes.
5, since you got up to 4, is that this is a money bill. And being a money bill, in line with Article 114 and on standing orders, all the amendments that members will be proposing must be shared with the National Treasury for concurrence. And therefore, if we allow more time, then there will be no time for the back and forth between the National Assembly and Treasury. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
You should actually appreciate the Speaker, because ordinarily, the office that receives amendments will just tell you it has been closed. At least I've given you sufficient notice on the direction of time. Thank you. Yes, Okello? Let's not eat into debating time. Yes. Give Okello the mic.
Honorable Speaker, I've got a question related to that, whereas I also support the issue of IBC that needs to be fast-tracked based on the fact that at least not less than 2 constituencies are now disenfranchised as a result of either
Jared Okello, that is a moot point. Your own leader has said this here 5 times.
Yeah, I've got a question.
I don't know why you should repeat it.
I'm coming to a question, Honorable
Take
Speaker.
your seat. If you want to use up your leader's powers, the Speaker will not assist you on that. Honorable members, I now put the question, which is that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 33C, this House resolves to hold a morning sitting on Tuesday, 25th June 2024, commencing at 9:30 a.m. for purposes of considering priority business. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, the Finance Bill, National Assembly Bill number 30 of 2024, resumption of debate.
Yes, Honorable Wandai. Give him the mic. Give him the mic. Why? His mic is... I'm told your mic is malfunctioning. Put where Kainan is.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, sorry. Honorable Speaker, I've got an issue I need to raise now before we can proceed with the debate that was going on yesterday. Honorable Speaker, my attention has been drawn to a letter purportedly emanating from the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury. I had dated 19th June, that was yesterday, and addressed to the Clerk of the National Assembly. It's also copied to the Right Honorable Speaker. And it's a letter concerning request for the advisory on conclusion of supply and ways and means process by the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, going through this letter in a nutshell, really, in summary, the National Treasury CS is purporting to direct this House that, and I want just to read some paragraph here, that we further note that following the ongoing debate on the Finance Bill 2024, should the Finance Bill 2024 be approved as proposed by the National Treasury, the National Assembly can proceed with the consideration of the appropriations bill as published. However, if the revenue-raising measures contained in the Finance Bill are not approved by the National Assembly, there will be a likely revenue shortfall of approximately Kenya shillings 200 billion. In order to remain within the provisions of the law, I'm just paraphrasing, we propose the following measures, and so on and so forth. Honorable Speaker, first and foremost, the Cabinet Secretary is treading on very slippery grounds, and indeed dangerous grounds. First, by purporting to direct the House on what it's supposed to do in its legislative role. Two, is also anticipating debate, because as far as I'm aware, we are still at the stage of debating this bill. It is not up the duty of anybody out there to start anticipating how the bill will go. But more importantly, Honorable Speaker, Article 221 of the Constitution, if you can listen to, just pay me attention. Article 221 of the Constitution. At Article 6, it says that when the estimates of national government expenditure and the estimates of expenditure for the judiciary and parliament have been approved by the National Assembly, they shall be included in an appropriation bill which shall be introduced into the National Assembly to authorize withdrawal from the consolidatory fund, and so on and so forth. That is the Constitution. But if you go further to the Public Finance Management Act, Section 40, subsection 5, it says, and I want just to read quickly, that any of the recommendations made by the relevant committee of the National Assembly or adopted by the National Assembly on revenue matters shall, among other things, ensure that the total amount of revenue raised is consistent with the approved fiscal framework and the Division of Revenue Act. What am I saying? If you read the Constitution at Article 221(5), together with the Public Finance Management Act, Section 40, Honorable Speaker, subsection 5, you arrive at the conclusion that the appropriations bill can only be informed by the estimates, not by the finance bill, Honorable Speaker. That the appropriations bill can only flow or emanate from the estimates that we have actually approved last week or so in this House. So what, therefore, is the CS purporting to say here? He's saying that if we don't approve the finance bill as in the form it originated from, I think, National Treasury, we shall have, therefore, to review or change the appropriations bill to conform with the finance bill as passed. Honorable Speaker, my submission is that it is the bill, first and foremost, we need to know from the chair of the Committee on Finance. Because the work of the Committee on Finance is to look for ways to raise money to finance the budget that has been passed. Are they saying that they were unable to look for money to finance the budget that we passed last week? If so, the logical thing, Honorable Speaker, is to do a supplementary budget. That is the only logical thing, not to do what the CS is purporting to direct us to do here. So what I want to ask you, Honorable Speaker, first and foremost, is to call the CS to order. To order from your chair. He cannot be seen to be supervising this House. In other words, actually he's trying to put pressure on this House to act in a particular manner. Yes. The CS of National Treasury, who is not elected by anybody, as far as I'm concerned, is purporting to supervise this House in its legislative role. Something that flies in the face of the Constitution and the relevant law, Honorable Speaker. So I would want, at the very least, that you direct that this letter be withdrawn by the National Treasury. And secondly, to compel him to commit not to attempt, now or in the future, to try to dictate to this House in the manner it's supposed to conduct its business. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and let me thank the Leader of Majority for raising this particular issue about this letter. But, Honorable Speaker, the Minority Leader, sorry. Honorable Speaker, you know, they say any name can raise a baby. And today you are the majority, tomorrow you can be the minority. There's absolutely nothing wrong with me, the slip of the tongue, referring to the Honorable Pio and I as a leader of majority. At times I've had people, the slip of the tongue, refer to Junet as a majority whip. At times I am referred to as a minority leader, majority whip. Any name is a name, provided we do what we are here to do. And Honorable Pio will tell you, in the last parliament, when we were with him here, the majority side, that was Jubilee, became the minority and had to depend on the minority side in its own government to pretend to be the majority. The leader of majority then, the Honorable Kimunya, the last 2 years, was the leader of the majority, but was actually a leader of the minority from the majority side. Because the Honorable Aden Duale, who was a ranking member like the Honorable John Buddy, was the leader of the majority on the majority side. But moving on, Honorable Speaker, I was thanking the Honorable Pio for raising this issue because it's important that we all get to an understanding not just of the import of this letter, but the import of all the proposed amendments that we will do to the finance bill, Honorable Speaker. And it's good that when you are responding to Honorable Nyikal, you did point out some of those issues. And principally, Honorable Speaker, the last point that I added, that this being a money bill, we must get the concurrence of the National Treasury. And there is reason as to why the drafters of our Constitution, Article 114, put that particular provision of concurrence with the National Treasury. Honorable Speaker, if you read that letter, it points to provisions of the law as it is. Professor Ndungu, who assigned this letter, is not referring to anything that is outside of the law and the provisions of our Constitution. He refers to Section 39(4)(c) of the PFM Act, which requires that any increase in expenditure in a proposed appropriation is balanced by a reduction in expenditure. in another proposed appropriation. Honorable Speaker, it goes on to quote Section 45 of the PFM Act and other sections of the PFM Act that indicate that if we are to reduce the proposed revenue estimates, Honorable Speaker, then concurrently, and I said it on Tuesday, something must give in. If we reduce taxes that are proposed to be the revenue-raising measures to finance the budget that we have adopted, then we must find a way of either reducing expenditure, the expenditure side, because if you don't do so, what you will do is increase the fiscal deficit. It is this House, Honorable Speaker, and I was hoping the Honorable Njuguna Ndung'u had pointed to it, and I see he hadn't, that we passed a debt ceiling in this House. We cannot go beyond that which we have passed in this House. The National Treasury cannot borrow beyond a certain point, a ceiling that we have set by law in this House. And therefore, if we're asking that let us reduce the revenues, but don't touch the expenditure side, what we are doing is simply telling the National Treasury, increase the fiscal deficit against the law. And we cannot act against the law. I know we are the lawmakers, but we are not allowed by the Constitution to act ultra vires the Constitution. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, what the Cabinet Secretary, it could be a preemptive. It could be preemptive that I want to agree with the Honorable Pio. It is preempting debate, but the Honorable Njuguna Ndung'u, CS Njuguna Ndung'u, is not engaging in debate. This is an advisory opinion to us, reminding us that we need to abide by the Constitution and by our own laws. Honorable Speaker, the leader of minority spoke to the need, and he has asserted that the right thing, and he said it so emphatically you would want to believe him, that the right thing to do is to do a supplementary budget. That is the wrong thing to do. It is the wrong thing to do, Honorable Speaker, because you cannot begin from a mistake and say now we will break the law at this particular stage, then we will fix it with a supplementary budget. Supplementary budget should only come in once we have in the first instance, bound by what is provided for in the law. We have not burst our fiscal deficit as stipulated under our PFM Act. And if in the course of implementation of this budget, there are additional expenditures that then would lead to a bursting of that fiscal deficit, then we call for a supplementary budget. But we cannot say that at this point what we should be doing is a supplementary budget. What shall we be supplementing if we are even yet to pass the appropriations bill? We need to pass the appropriations bill and the finance bill so that we complete the budget-making cycle. Once you complete the budget-making cycle, then after that you can do a supplementary budget. But we cannot complete a budget-making cycle against the law. And that is what Honorable Pio and I is telling us that we should do. It is my humble submission, Honorable Speaker, then, that this letter is in good standing, and this is the way it is. I saw a number of votes, Honorable Speaker, and I said on Tuesday, Honorable Speaker, when this report was tabled, that someone once quipped that choices have consequences. And in lawmaking, the same is true. If we choose to cut on our revenue-raising measures, as the Finance Committee has proposed, there will definitely be consequences. Honorable Speaker, I am fortunate to have been in this House in the last Parliament. The Honorable Andai, who has raised this issue, and the Honorable Junet were in this House in 2018. In 2018, Honorable Speaker, you remember the contentious Uhuru second term, the second finance bill. It was equally contentious. And you remember the debate that was there then about fuel, from 16%, 8%, from 0% VAT. And when we did the revenue-raising measures bill in the form of a finance bill, consequently, we had to adjust the expenditure side. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, it is not the first time it is happening, and it is not the last time. Therefore, if our JSS teachers who we appropriated resources to hire, if there isn't adequate resources to hire JSS teachers, then something has to give in. If there is a road in Ugunja constituency that was to be tarmacked and the resources are not enough, I mean, or in Kikuyu constituency for that matter, then we just have to do away with them, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, I just want to ask the Honorable Pio to hold his horses. In actual fact, what we are doing now is anticipating debate, Honorable Speaker. We are the ones now who are anticipating debate because we are yet to complete the finance bill, because at the conclusion of the finance bill, it is only at that point we'll be able to tell the net effect of all the changes that have been made and decide whether then we need whatever quantum we need to adjust on the expenditure side. Honorable Speaker, let me just conclude by saying we cannot and we shall not have our cake and eat it at the same time. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. This issue is very straightforward, but for purposes of record, I'll give you a direction at 2:30. Meanwhile, we proceed with debate. It has absolutely no impact on the debate going on. I will give you a direction at 2:30. Order, Honorable Wandai, you have so ably prosecuted your case, and the majority leader has responded. Budget Chairman, I will, in fact, pass on these letters to you. So I'm not opening debate on this. Call out the next order. Order, honorable members. Order. When I came to the chamber, I had seen this letter. And I had also my own feelings about it. I'll give you direction at 2:30. I don't have to consume parliamentary time debating something that is very clear in my mind. My thoughts are very rich, Junet. Have you called us? Order, honorable members, order. Back to the finance bill. We have 120 requests. With 120 requests, at 5 minutes, we need about 9 to 10 hours. Can I ask the majority and minority leader to approach the chair? The majority and minority leader approach the chair. Order, honorable members. Order. Wangela, take your seat. Order. Badi, take your seat. Order, honorable members. Honorable members, I want us to proceed as follows. We have Honorable Zambia, who has 3.5 minutes to go. I've told you how many of you have keyed in. At 7 a.m. this morning, 50 members had already keyed in. But that shows the intensity of interest in the bill. We will start the debate now up to 1. In the afternoon, I'll give you 1 hour from 2:30 to 3:30. We will not need Honorable Pukose to call for the mover to reply. The mover will be called by the Speaker to reply at 3:30. whereafter we shall go to vote. I've consulted with your leadership on whether we should go on with 5 minutes and cut off at the hours we have agreed, or allow more members to contribute by truncating the time to 3 minutes. If you agree to 3 minutes, we can truncate the time to 3 minutes so that more members can speak. Is that all right with the House? I put the question that the time for contribution be reduced from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. Secondly, honorable members, I encourage you to desist from raising frivolous points of order, because some members have been raising points of order that are completely far from points of order. Yes. So, in Zambia, you finish your 3.5 minutes. The next members I call, you'll be taking 3 minutes. Members, you also keyed in very early, but sometimes the chair may not necessarily follow the list, because you find like you have 10 members in a row from one side. We have to balance the House. So we will be jumping and zigzagging in the list to make sure there's some balanced representation on the floor. Zambia, go on.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, we have a responsibility as a House to protect the interests of our Kenyan citizens. Honorable Speaker, I totally oppose this finance bill. Reasons being that, Honorable Speaker, we understand that the motor vehicle tax, edible oil tax, among others, have been deleted. But Honorable Speaker, there are so many hidden taxes. Honorable Speaker, when you talk of 7 shillings per liter in fuel levy, it means that the cost of production in the local industries will go up. Honorable Speaker, even the cost of producing bread will be higher than even the normal rate as at now. Honorable Speaker, our Kenyan citizens are struggling to put food on the table. Honorable Speaker, the cost of living is going to increase even further if we consider passing this bill. Honorable Speaker, I urge members of this House to consider the cry outside there of Akina Wanjiku and the others. Honorable Speaker, the life of the Kenyan citizen of running businesses is totally unbearable as we speak now. Honorable Speaker, when it comes to the local industries, they are closing down their businesses. Reason being that the cost of production is going high and high every time. And Honorable Speaker, we have come to understand that most of the industries are closing down, making it not possible to keep on employing more of the Kenyan citizens. And Honorable Speaker, when we talk of the NDF, there are so many hidden costs which the Kenyan, as a House, we should come out clear to make sure that the cost of living of the Kenyan citizens is bearable. Thank you, Honorable Chair, Speaker, and as the government, when you talk of the hustlers, the borders, the mama bokas, it is very clear that the things are getting worse and out of hand. Honorable Speaker, I urge this government to reconsider getting a better finance bill to move the Kenyan citizens forward. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Mandera West. Member for Mandera West. Order, honorable members. Order. The conversations are too loud. Order. Cynthia Muge, take your seat. You've been standing there for 10 minutes. Honorable members, those who want to engage in conversations, there's a lobby out there. You can go and converse and come back. Give me time to hear what members are saying, and give those who want to listen to debate. Member for Mandera West. Give him a functioning mic.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this chance to contribute to this very important bill that is in front of us. Mr. Speaker, sir, finance bill is an annual event. It has been done from the time Kenya was born up to this time. I personally, I think this is the 7th one I am contributing or participating in. And therefore, we all know that without finance bill, there will be no government activity. If you don't pass finance bill and allow the government to continue with its activity, there will be no government activities. And we all know that the government is there for the interest of the community, the larger community. I take this opportunity to sincerely thank the Finance Committee for listening, for doing a very thorough public participation all over the country, and for listening to the various issues that has been raised by the public, and for particularly saying that the contentious issues such as the bread, the VAT on bread, motor vehicle, the eco levy on sanitary pads and diapers, the excise duties on vegetable oil, and others which were contentious, they have already recommended that it be dropped. And therefore, it is for this House to concur with the recommendation of the Finance Committee to drop those very contentious issues. I have been called by my constituents so much, but as I explained to them what has been dropped, and particularly the finance bill is looking at putting 1 billion shilling for restocking. As you all know that the area where I represent and others had a serious drought for 4 years, and we lost almost all our livestock, and we don't have any other livelihood except rearing of livestock. And this finance bill is giving us 1 billion to restock. That is a very big gain, and my constituents have told me that to make sure that 1 billion is protected. Honorable Speaker, sir, there are very important gains in this finance bill, particularly.
Your time up. Irene Mayaka. You have 3 minutes, so compose your thoughts and compress them quickly.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I take this opportunity to emphatically reject the finance bill. And Honorable Speaker, one of the things that I just want to say and make very clear is that we should not subject ourselves to the pressures that are being implemented by the IMF on funding conditions that they're giving to this country. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Gen Z and the people of Kenya because they exercise their rights under Article 1 and 2 of the Constitution, together with Article 37 of the Constitution. Honorable Speaker, in my quest to reject the finance bill, one of the things that I just want to say very clearly, I keep hearing members telling us that we need to start using locally manufactured sanitary towels, and especially to our male members. I just want to tell you, stop taking Panadols for our headache. Locally manufactured sanitary pads are not of good quality. You cannot expect young girls out there to use pads that will make them have infections and such like things. Honorable Speaker, some of the clauses that I really want us to look into, and come and also reject is, for example, clause number 63 that talks about KRA having access to our information. Clause number 23 that talks about amateur sporting association being added additional tax. Honorable Speaker, some of the repercussions that we will have as a country if we continue with this finance bill is that we are making our investment climate to become a very unpredictable one. We will make our country not be and have appetite for investments from foreign investors and local investors.
That is the case in the villages. Honorable Speaker, you may say we are going to impose taxes only on imported table eggs. But how will you distinguish between those eggs you're using to hatch and the eggs to be eaten on the table? Yeah. Do we have the machinery to confirm it? Honorable Speaker, there is no empirical data. And this is where I think the Finance Committee failed this House. Do we have data in terms of the amount of eggs which are imported against the amounts produced locally that are in our market? Once we increase the price for imported eggs, going by the amounts, my fear, Honorable Speaker, is that when you go to the shop, you will not distinguish. Honorable Speaker, the last...
Time up. Ferdinand Wanyonyi. It is 3 minutes. Don't talk as if it is 10 minutes. It's 3 minutes.
I want to take this opportunity, thank you very much, Speaker, to remind this House that the budget is actually an annual circulation, and therefore I'll ask members, and I think the opportunity is there, not only that, but not to whip our emotion on this. Let's not whip our emotion on this. The opportunity has been given to us to have suggestions, so that I can be able to have suggestions that can be able to at least correct whatever we have gone wrong, to be able to correct and put in whatever input you can put to be able to create more opportunities for our people. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, mine is to ask members to come up with those suggestions, because the ball is in our court, to be able to come up with whatever suggestions you have, to be able to correct and implement some of these issues that can be able to make this country to be self-sustainable. As you know, you are told Kenya is now the 27th fastest growing economy in the whole country. And therefore, I want to take this opportunity to thank the committee led by my brother Kimani, that we should be able to move faster and be able to come in with suggestions to be able to move, because one of which, as you say, you want to dismiss this particular proposal. We have CDF, and have given us like 50 million shillings. We have the CALF for the ladies, that again, 30 million shillings. And of course, electricity, to be able to have our country with a nice approach to economy by having electricity all over the country. Therefore, I think this bill is good enough. We should not actually dismiss it for the sake of it. We should be able to come in with positive approach to be able to move forward. As it is today, I do just want to dismiss because somebody called me and asked him, what do you want me to remove? He didn't even know. So let's not go by emotion. Let's go by whatever we have and be able to move forward our economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Manduku.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For avoidance of doubt, I stand to oppose the Finance Bill 2024 and urge my colleagues to vote no. Mr. Speaker, the bill as presented before the House goes against our own tax policy, which we approved in this House. But curiously, Mr. Speaker, in an effort to expand the tax base, there's a provision that has been sneaked in that will compel families to pay capital gains tax on land that they transfer to their children. If you look at the proposal to amend the Stamp Duty Act Cap 480, I find it difficult that if I give my son land or if I ask my family to donate land to my children, I'll be compelled to pay some taxes. Further than that, Mr. Speaker, and having worked at the Port of Mombasa, I can tell you that this country is a net importer. And therefore, increasing the IDF fees by 0.5% will have a net effect of having expensive goods manufactured locally. Mr. Speaker, there's a provision also in this bill that seeks to expand or to extend the number of days that the Kenya Revenue Authority can get back to taxpayers on decision making from the 60 days to 90 days. I find it curious that we want to give the taxman a lot of time to get back to us on very simple decisions which would otherwise streamline taxation. Mr. Speaker, my advice to the government is that they should get down to work. Avoid listening to tweeting economists and avoid too many prayers. Get back to work and grow the economy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Kajiado Central.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the Finance Bill 2024 for the following reason, Honorable Speaker. One, the Finance Act 2023 had reduced the import declaration fee from 3.5 to 2.5%. This, Honorable Speaker, not only gave us a whole of 10 billion shillings, but it also encouraged importation. And Honorable Speaker, we all know the net effect of this. The proposed finance bill, Honorable Speaker, is proposing to take back the importation declaration fee to 3.5 and therefore discouraging importation and therefore growing our industries. Honorable Speaker, I'd like to commend the Gen Zs who have been out there, but also advise them to seek information, because one of the reasons why these young people are out in the streets is mainly because of unemployment. This importation declaration fee that has been increased seeks to grow our manufacturing sector and therefore seeks to employ the same young people. Second, Honorable Speaker, is the eco levy in clause 45 of the bill. Honorable Speaker, we all know the effects of climate change, the negative effects of climate change. This levy, Honorable Speaker, seeks to protect our environment from environmental wastes, which is one of the contributors to climate change. Honorable Speaker, we could go on climate change and the effects and the negative effects that this has brought to the economy of this country. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, as a pastoralist, and I also urge the pastoralist members who are here to be keen. In the past budget, we have 1 billion shillings that is meant to be restocking money for our people. Our people had suffered losses due to drought. The 1 billion is going to be a game changer to our people. There is also money for value addition. And this, Honorable Speaker, I support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Karole Omondi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to speak to this bill. Let me begin by acknowledging that the bill is 132 pages and 65 clauses. So to say that you are rejecting it in totality is just playing to the gallery. I think there are good things and bad things in the bill. Mr. Speaker, I would like to talk to three things only because of the limitation of time. The first one is a clause that is being introduced in this bill on tax abandonment. I've not had a lot of public discussion on it. But for the first time, we are being asked to make provision in law for the Commissioner of Tax, together with the CS Treasury, to give tax waivers where, in their view, the tax cannot be collected. I think this is a very, very fundamental activity that requires the input of this House. I think tax that is due is already public property, and any activity to waive it or to claim that it can be abandoned must have the input of this House. So I will be recommending, or rather I've already recommended certain amendments that will come to the floor of the House to recast this particular clause to see that any attempts to abandon tax are subject to approval of this House, as well as the requirements of Articles 201 and 210 of the Constitution of Kenya. Secondly, there is another provision in this particular bill talking about investment allowance for spectrum use. I believe this matter should be looked into detail because it also has retroactive effects on the tax that will be collected from the telecom companies. I believe there's a lot of work as Parliament we need to do on this matter to see that we do not.
If possible, you could add me a few minutes so that I bring forth a message. If possible, you could add me a few minutes so that I bring forth a message I have for the House.
Okay, I'll give you an extra 2 minutes, so you have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as the rule provides in the PFM Act, Article 39A, that we have to balance our expenditure and our revenues. Honorable Speaker, I want to talk as the chairman of budget, and I actually want to talk as an indifferent party, that whatever may happen on the bill, the Budget and Appropriations Committee is prepared, Honorable Speaker. But from the onset, we want to laud Kenyans for their voices. This country belongs to Kenyans, and when they express themselves, they are doing precisely what the Constitution provides. I also want to laud all the Kenyan leaders, including our side of government and the other side, Honorable Speaker, because we are all geared to the welfare of the Kenyan people. Honorable Speaker, I have since, and I want members to, if possible, they can have this in their mind as we debate. I have since received a letter and communication from the National Treasury addressed to the clerk of the National Assembly, but I am copied as the chairperson of budget. Honorable Speaker, the Treasury is looking in all scenarios. Scenario number one, if the bill passes only with the amendments from the Finance Committee. Scenario number two is actually if the bill, the MPs in their wisdom decide that we shelve it. Honorable Speaker, if the status quo remains, that we pass the bill as proposed by the Honorable Kimani Kuria and the committee, the appropriations bill passes as it is, Honorable Speaker, as we did last week. However, Honorable Speaker, it is important for members to note that in case there is a downfall in terms of the revenues by the proposed 200 billion that was to be raised in the finance bill, Honorable Speaker, then the government and the National Treasury and the Budget Committee is also prepared for that scenario. And I have communication, Honorable Speaker, from the National Treasury from the proposals. And I wish that I read some of them, that if the bill does not pass, Honorable Speaker, we'll be reducing the budget for the State House, 451 million, budget at the State Office of the President, 451 million, security organs, defense, for example, will be losing 7.75 billion, ongoing pivots in our constituencies will have to shelve that ambition by reducing by 800 million, Honorable Speaker. Higher Education Loans Board will be losing 3.2 billion. Honorable Speaker, the JSS teachers, 46,000 of them, Honorable Speaker, by letting this bill pass, will actually be giving jobs at the permanent and pensionable. Honorable Speaker, if the wisdom of this House is to shelve that decision, then it means the JSS teachers, whom, Honorable Speaker, I would persuade this house that we confirm there will be no funding. NGCDF will be reducing by 15 billion shillings, which is 50 million per constituency, Honorable Speaker. The monies we appropriated for electricity, 50 million per constituency, Honorable Speaker, by, again, not giving the National Treasury the power for more revenue-raising measures, the 50 million per constituency will be disappearing today, Honorable Speaker. Coffee Cheriford will be cut 1 billion, Honorable Speaker, if there is no funding, Honorable Speaker, through the finance bill. Our last plea is this. This letter is public information. It can be shared to the members of Parliament. Honorable Speaker, my plea is this, as the chairman of budget, that if it's possible, the House Business Committee can actually bring the appropriations bill this afternoon. That the decision that we take in the finance bill, we can also cascade the same by appropriating the proposed cuts in the appropriation bill so that we can finish the entire business today, Honorable Speaker. However, Honorable Speaker, I am sure with the same energy that we are speaking either for or against, we will also explain to Kenyans, the JSS teachers, I am sure those who will be voting against their confirmation to PNP, we will also explain to them, Honorable Speaker. Those voting against increment in CDF will also be, Honorable Speaker, explaining to Kenyans about it. Those who will be voting against the increment, Honorable Speaker, of employing 20,000 more teachers will have an ample time to explain to the teachers of this country, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, the proposed cut in terms of roads is 15 billion. Those who will be voting against the increment of 15 billion to roads, I am sure they'll eloquently explain to Kenyans about it also, Honorable Speaker.
A minute to finish.
Order. Honorable Speaker.
Order, honorable members, order. Order. Give him 3 minutes and wind up.
Honorable Speaker, I want to be very objective. Honorable Speaker, these are the proposed cuts in case there is no revenue-raising measures as proposed by Honorable Kimani Kuria. Honorable Speaker, number one, as I said, I want to be very clear. State House has been cut money 500 million. Office of the President, another 500 million. Security like defense is 7.75 billion cuts. Honorable Speaker, the same. We have already promised our JSS teachers that the 46,000 of them will be employed on permanent and pensionable. Honorable Speaker, if we don't give the National Treasury the power for revenue-raising measures, it means the people will be voting against the confirmation of the 46,000 interns. Will have ample time to explain to them how they voted against them getting permanent jobs, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the reduction in NGCDF is 15 billion shillings. That is a small figure, Honorable Speaker, because I can see members are saying 50 million is not much. In Kiharo, it's a lot of money, Honorable Speaker, that every constituency will be cut 50 million shillings starting July, Honorable Speaker. GAF, we just added them 500 million. Honorable Speaker, the proposal is to reverse the 500 million and also to reduce further by an extra 1 billion, Honorable Speaker. The monies we appropriated for electricity, 50 million per constituency, Honorable Speaker. I hope those who will be voting against electrification in our villages will have time to explain to Kenyans why they are voting against electricity in our rural areas, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there is a proposed reduction.
Order. Honorable Commissioner Mishi, I know you differently. Order. Order, honorable members. Order. Order, honorable members on both sides of the House. Order. Order. Honorable members on both sides of the House. In the tradition of Parliament, if you approve of something, you thumb your feet. You don't wail and shout as if you are in a rally. This is not a rally. This is a House of Parliament. Dindi, can you wind up?
Honorable Speaker, the other thing is that there is a proposed reduction of 1 billion shillings in livestock restocking. From our side, we believe those who lost their livestock deserve to be compensated. Those who will vote against 1 billion that is going to livestock restocking will explain to our pastoralist, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, also, the monies proposed for reduction for school feeding program is 1.8 billion. On our side, we believe the 1.8 billion is needed to feed the children of this country as they go to our schools, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the political parties, we can all agree in unison. We are proposing a cut of 900 million. I know that is not contentious. We can agree to cut it this afternoon, Honorable Speaker, because we are also prepared for it. Honorable Speaker, there is a proposed cut of 5.5 billion shillings for cash transfer. Our parents who registered last year deserve to get their cash transfer.
Order, time up. Betsimba. Order.
Asante sana,
Rosa Buyu,
Mheshimiwa.
you have already spoken on this bill. You have no business doing what you are doing.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kunipa fursa na mimi niweze kuzungumzia kuhusu mswada huu wa fedha. Mimi nimesimama kuupinga mswada huu. Na kitu nitasema hapa, viongozi muheshimu malalamishi ama matakwa ya wananchi. Muisikize vilio vya wananchi. Kuongeza ushuru wa mafuta kutapandisha kila bidhaa ambayo inahusiana na mafuta. Kwa hivyo hii ni shughuli ambayo haifai kwa sababu gharama za maisha zitakuwa juu. Kuweka ushuru kwa bidhaa zinazotoka ng'ambo zitamrudia tena mwananchi, kwa sababu bidhaa zinazotengenezwa hapa nchini bado haziwezi kukimu mahitaji yetu, mpaka tutachukua tena kutoka kule zile za ng'ambo ambazo zitaleta shida zaidi. Kwanza tutengeneze viwanda vyetu kabla tujaweka ushuru huo. Na kuhusu kwamba fedha zitatoka wapi, wapunguze matumizi katika ofisi za serikali. Wanaweka pesa nyingi kuhudumia wageni wakija. Kama mgeni amekuja, mpe maji ya kunywe, na kama ni lazima akae paka mchana, mpe kidheri, mwambie hiyo ndio chakula chetu cha kitamaduni, sio kukula makuku na madino kwa gharama za wananchi. Mnaleta paka tu katika sehemu zenu. Kupandisha bei ya mikate, mwananchi wa kawaida ni bidhaa ambayo inatumika kwa kila boma. Kila boma asubuhi na jioni tumia mikate. Wewe unaenda kuongeza ushuru wa mkate. Na mkifanya hivyo tutakunywa chai na mgoka kama ndio mnataka hivyo. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kwamba serikali ipunguze ile matumizi ambayo wao wanafanya. Wapunguze safari wanazokwenda nje. Waende mahali ikiwa ni muhimu na ni watu wawili pekee yake, hapana kwenda watu 30 alafu mnasema wananchi waongeze ushuru na huku mmechukua ndege nzima mnaenda nayo huko nje. Mnakwenda mahoteli, mnazungumza ambao mikutano mnaweza fanya katika boardroom zenu. Hiyo ndio sio ni matatizo. Kwa hivyo mimi nasema kwamba ushuru ama hii mswada wa fedha uangushwe huu, kwa sababu wananchi wameusoma. Msione wale watoto wale vijana wameandamana, walisoma kwa sababu huu mswada uko katika mitandao, wanajua kila kipengee kile kilichoko pale. Mnaongeza matairi, mnaongeza vyombo ambavyo vitapima saratani. Mnaongeza bidhaa ambazo za x-ray ambao tayari matibabu ni gharama, na saizi mnaongeza tena. Itakuwa zaidi, watu wanaumia, watoto wanajinyonga huko kwa sababu ya depression ambao ziko nazo. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, nimesimama kupinga mswada huu. Asante sana.
Mwengi Mutuse.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my friends. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to make a very brief contribution. And my contribution, first of all, is to debunk some erroneous myths that have been perpetuated in this debate. Mr. Speaker, during this debate, a perception has been created that the contestations around the finance bill have only happened after President William Ruto became president. Nothing can be far from the truth. Mr. Speaker, those of us who are students of history know that taxation began 3,000 years before Christ, actually in the ancient kingdom of Egypt. And even at that time, taxation was contentious. It has also been said before this House during the government of Kenyatta 1, during the government of President Moi, during the government of President Kibaki, during the government of Kenyatta 2, and even now, the finance bill has been an annual event, and it has never been a smooth sail. But something different has happened this year, Mr. Speaker. During the many times that the finance bill has been presented before Parliament, a lot of the times the voices of the people have never been factored by either the Parliament or by the executive. But for the first time in history, the voices of the people have been heard and have been factored in the report that was presented before this House by the Finance Committee. One of the principles of good governance is responsiveness. Responsiveness to the wishes of the people. And I want to laud the Finance Committee for being responsive to the wishes of the people of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, politics is a very interesting game. On Tuesday, and if we may be heard in silence, Mr. Speaker, on Tuesday, after we finished our parliamentary group, I had a very jovial discussion with some of my friends who are on the other side. I had very jovial discussions with some of my friends who are on the other side, and they were saying, why have you removed everything that you wanted to rely on in the finance bill to do politics? And I asked them, but you complained about these things, and you have been heard and they have been removed. And they told me, you know, the work of opposition is to oppose. And now that you have pulled the carpet under our feet, we must find something new to hang on. I am saying this so that Kenyans know that the opposition to the finance bill is majorly inspired by politics. It may not be inspired by the content. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, as a lawyer, I want to say, and this would have been ably articulated if I may get 1 minute, that the issues that have been complained of have already been overtaken by events. They are actually otious. Finally, what is the effect of rejecting the finance bill? The effect of rejecting the finance bill is to resort back to the finance bill of
Joseph Oyula.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to also contribute to this important bill. Mr. Speaker, I want to start by thanking the Finance Committee for the work well done. It took a long time, but they came up with a good report. Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding the amendments that were made, this bill was a disaster. This bill is assuming that the Kenyans' tax rate should move to a higher rate regime, which is not comfortable for this country at all. Mr. Speaker, we should not take ourselves to a higher tax regime, which is going to cause stress to our business community and the individuals. The country needs to move slowly towards a higher tax regime. If the country is moved very fast, Mr. Speaker, then we will not balance our budget. Mr. Speaker, we need to make sure that the revenue is raised, yes, but also the tax rate is comfortable to the community of this country. Mr. Speaker, as we go through this bill, Mr. Speaker, let us note that increasing the tax rates does not guarantee raising that money. It has happened in the bill for 2023. We never made it. The chances are that during this period, we may also not make it. So the Treasury should not come up with such a disastrous proposal in the tax rates. It is for this reason, Mr. Speaker, that we are rejecting this bill, and I would want the Treasury to take it back and come up with a bill that is balanced, a bill that will ensure the country is raising revenue, and a bill that will ensure the people of Kenya are not stressed. This is very important, because if we raise the tax and we don't get that money, it will not help the country at all. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Jen Kagiri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute to this very important bill. Honorable Speaker, allow me to start by congratulating the Finance Committee for listening to Kenyans and honoring their request on the deletion of the taxes that they felt that were punitive on them. Honorable Speaker, I would want to contribute on the clause on the introduction of eco-levy on sanitary towels and diapers. Honorable Speaker, I speak as the chairperson of the 47 women representatives. And recently, Honorable Speaker, we had the opportunity of enacting the Education Act of 2016, where we ensured that every student from class 5 to class 8, girls receive their sanitary towels. Honorable Speaker, out of the 47 counties, only 4 local manufacturers were given the opportunity to supply these sanitary towels. Honorable Speaker, this prominent house has been treated to a lot of drama and untruthful stories of the situation we find ourselves with sanitary towels. Allow me, Honorable Speaker, to state that this levy has been introduced so that we encourage our local production and our local manufacturers, Honorable Speaker. I hear some members say that we will have low supply because we don't have enough manufacturers. Honorable Speaker,